Hey everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider. We are here at our TIFF studio at the Cinema Center. I want to give a huge, I realize I should be looking at the camera. I want to give a huge thank you to Range Rover for being our sponsor. Really appreciate it. Hi, how's everyone doing?
So good.
Great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I should say that we are here with the cast and David Gordon Green for Nutcrackers. I'm so sorry.
Plural. We got 4 Nutcrackers right here.
Yeah, I just realized I like messing up right at the beginning. It's my first interview of the day, sort of like it's your first interview of the day.
But it was a controversial conversation. Is it the Nutcracker? Should it be Nutcracker? Nutcrackers? Should we call it the Nutcracker's mustache? Much better Nutcracker. We went through a lot of title ideas on this one. So
I actually, that's one of my questions I was going to ask you. How much debate is there behind the scenes when you're picking a title? Because the title is like so important and no one really talks about the importance of it.
Yeah, it was a lot of conversation. It's kind of the fun of it is you're trying to think of what captures the spirit of the movie best. I felt like if you put the, people might be confused and think it was going to be the Nutcracker. Nutcracker sounded like the kind of right vibe for this movie. It's a movie that kind of kicks you in the nuts, and that's kind of.
And there are 4 Nutcrackers in it, so.
100%. What I think a lot of people, for you, David, are going to be, you've been working in the horror genre for a little while, and there's no killing, no murder, there's no, you know what I mean? It's so different. Was it, like, talk a little bit about why you wanted to make this film, and was it a result of spending so much time in darker places?
I think so. I think anytime I spend a consistent amount of time in a genre, I want to mix it up a little bit. Honestly, it's just a chance to do something different. So you get these little moments in your career when you find yourself in a flow. You know, if I went through a studio comedy phase, then I'd jump back into a Prince Avalanche and make a movie in the woods for 14 days with my friends. And this, after running 4 horror films in a row and dealing with the kind of the darkness and the hard-hitting headlines and the headaches of the world around me, I just thought maybe this is a moment for movies to do something a little different.
So maybe David wants to do this, but everyone out there watching will not have seen this movie yet. So how have you been describing the film to like friends and family? I don't know if you want to take it. I don't know who wants to take it.
Well, I've been like telling people that it's going to be like, I haven't seen the movie all the way through still. I saw like the first hour and 30 minutes, but I'm still like waiting to watch the last 20 minutes because we had to go backstage. But like you could still see some parts of the movie. Like it was a very David movie. Like it's just like George Washington and All the Real Girls. I just watched them a couple months ago, but you could see some parts of it are still like, oh, that was David's idea, because like little like trinkets and stuff rolling down the hill and still like is a little bit like a horror movie, but still like comical, and like Ben's doing it and everything's so funny, and it's just a very fun comedy drama.
Sure. I think we should also touch on the fact that it stars like you guys have never made a movie before, and it's about, do you want to say like more of what it's about, like why Ben Stiller, who he plays? Yeah,
I mean, in my head it was kind of a triggering a lot of movies that I grew up with in the 80s, you know, and following into the tropes. There were movies like the Kenny Rogers movie Six Pack. I don't know if you know that one, but about the race car driver that takes care of the orphan kids, the young Anthony Michael Hall, young Diane Lane, great movie. Movies like Kid Co. about the kids that started the manure business. You know, there are a lot of films that I was inspired by, and a lot of John Hughes movies, Uncle Buck, and you know, even young Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. I felt like it was a raw talent. He was a kid that still picked his nose, not a kid that was so polished and perfect that he felt like Hollywood had done their manicure. So the idea was to take some of the tropes of those films that I love so much, and then kind of combo the blockbuster bubblegum with the artsy fartsy, and land somewhere in the middle, or the best of both worlds.
So one of the things that people might not know is you guys filmed at your house in your town. And you had a pretty large movie star there with you doing these things. I'm so curious for the 4 of you, what surprised you about making a movie that like you didn't expect going in?
Well, the fact that there were 80 people at our house was very surprising. And like I had never seen that many people at our house. And like the way everybody was like in their place and everybody was like in chaos, but still super organized was very surprising. And it was really crazy to see that.
We were just all having tons of fun on the movie set. It wasn't really us making a movie, it was just us just having fun and filming us. It was just an amazing experience.
It was just really excited to see
Ben. I was very excited.
Did you, I have to know, and I'm interrupting, I'm so sorry. How many Ben Stiller movies had you seen prior to meeting him? And like, who was the most excited of your friends that you were going to be spending time with Ben?
Like
Well,
5. I don't know.
we've seen around like 5 of his movies before. We've seen all the Night in the Museums movies before, of course, because those are huge and like really funny. And then I think we saw the Meet the Fookers a couple times before, and different movies like that with him in it. And then when we saw him, we were like, oh, wow, it's Ben. And then we were like, oh, he's a real person. And we were like hugging him and stuff. And like, you realize those people in movies are just normal people like us, and just let's hug them and tell them stories.
Sure. Was there someone in your life that was incredibly excited?
It was actually one of my ballet classmates' dad was like super excited. He was like, can I meet him in person? Can I meet him in person? He was just having such a fun time because he was in the movie, but he was in the background people. So he was like, I got a glimpse of thing. And he's just having the best time ever.
Well, something that's really cool is you guys shot this on 35 millimeter. I'm not sure if you're aware, but like a lot of movies are made with digital cameras now. So I'm curious, what is it like to shoot on 35 now? Is it difficult? Do line producers say, let's not do that? Like, how does that work? And for you guys, what was it like actually shooting with those cameras where, like, you know what I mean? Every moment counts.
Well, of course, it was like more of like, let's get our lines right. Let's make every take count. And then like, I feel like they should do that with more movies, so actors do that instead of it digital. And like, just seeing them like take out the like, everything was like super organized and chaotic, like I was saying, but still like with loading and unloading the camera film, everything was like super cool to watch. And like just seeing the like engineering of the camera was super.
I've done a lot of work on 35 and a lot of digital work. And for this movie, I just thought it was an opportunity to, again, taking that inspiration of those 70s and 80s movies, the Bad News Bears that I love, and adding that little bit of grit and grain to it, because the world we're talking about is so intimate yet emotionally epic. So shooting at widescreen, shooting at 35, and making those kind of choices, I think, help something that could be considered a small movie in theme. You know, it's not epic superhero type of content. It's a Christmas movie about an uncle from the big city hanging out with his crazy rambunctious nephews on the farm. But to be able to find something that felt inviting in that way, and we could capture the magic hour in that way, and it also just for me as a director means I'm going to have a lot more thoughtful conversations and consideration about what the scene's going to be. We didn't have a dolly on the movie. We were on a tripod and a camera, and here we go. So it was workshopped very thoroughly. These guys did their homework and really handled themselves like professionals. This is the first time they'd ever been in front of a camera, and it was just fun to be able to try to capture who they are rather than say, here's this character that is so far from you. This is really taking not just their home, not just their hearts, but feeling like a film family. And so the smaller the crew was, the more intimate the experience could be, and honestly, the funnier I think it could be, because we all trusted each other and we could talk a lot of shit too.
I can only imagine. I'm so curious, how much did you guys improvise on set versus like sticking to the script? Because I'm sure you had a script, but you know, obviously you're going to find so much in the moment.
Yeah, like talk about like the birds and the bees conversation in the movie, because that to me, every I don't care how many times I've seen it or been in the editing room playing with it makes me laugh so hard just seeing how you guys communicated with Ben on that.
Yeah, because most of that scene was just improv, and then we were trying to like follow the script and like still be in the moment, but say a bunch of improv, and that's what made it funnier, because it was like Atlas and Arlo and Yuli were actually kind of learning as well, and like we were like paying attention. We were actually writing stuff down in our little notebooks, and Arlo was like a star in that, and he was every night he would go to bed saying, "Man, that was a fun scene to shoot."
Yeah, Arlo was most definitely the one that was like most in it. He was like having the best time ever just filming that scene and improvising. He was just having.
We have to agree that was probably one of our favorite scenes to shoot.
I'm so curious. So you guys, you see the script. What day did you have like circled, or you know the shoot's coming up? What day did you have circled because you could not wait to film something? And was there any day that you had like, oh, how are we filming this?
You guys want to go?
Well, I kind of like it to be a surprise, so I didn't usually look at the schedule until the day that it came. So then I looked at what I'm doing that day and was like, yes, I get to shoot this scene, because we had read the script the day before we started shooting, and then I was like, oh, we're gonna get to shoot that scene tomorrow, you guys. And it was like kind of a surprise each day, and it was really fun.
I found that every time there was an opportunity for profanity, that the kids would get really excited because they could cuss and not get in trouble. So that was fun. Every time that there would be a scene where they could use a little vulgarity, there was a liberating spirit of that. For me personally, the dance sequence, outside it was 17 degrees and these kids are in costumes and it's at night, and there was a lot of things that I had a great apprehension about. Can we pull off a scene that feels as big and epic as it is in my head, but shoot it on the streets of their town? And in this weather, it was really cold, and we wanted to be thoughtful of trying to make a very ambitious movie, but in a way that didn't drive everybody crazy.
When I was watching last night, I could see your breath. And I was like, oh, they are filming in the cold. Like, this is not, they don't have the budget for CGI breath. So this is really cold outside.
Yeah. The scene where Ben fell in the pond as well was only 10 degrees out, and they had to break the ice before he fell in. And he did all of his own stunts, and we were all super impressed. And then, of course, our next thought was, can we get in there? So
I like talking about the editing room because it's where it all comes together. So how did this film possibly change in the editing room in ways you didn't expect?
So the editing, Colin Patton, editor I've worked with since I met him as an assistant editor on Pineapple Express, and just an amazing, thoughtful editor that has the sense of emotion and sense of humor that I respond to. And so the editing process on this movie, obviously, so much amazing footage. A lot of experimental, like, let's try this. Does it go too far? Is this too crude? Is this too emotional? Whatever it was, is finding the balance in it so that we could make a movie that feels really inviting and familiar in some respects, so that it's relatable to a large audience, but then also make sure it's personal enough and eccentric enough so that it feels like it has this collective signature on it. It's a movie that uniquely could be made by this group of collaborators.
I totally get it. I'm just about out of time. So I have for you guys, I'm curious, did this give you the acting bug where you guys are now like, oh, we want to do another thing? Let's start with that.
Most definitely.
That was very fast.
It was just such an amazing experience, just seeing everyone on film, shooting a film, everyone fitting together, doing their part. It was just so amazing to see everyone do stuff. Like David, it was just so amazing to see him do all of his directing, and then being act. It was just amazing. I loved it.
And like before the movie and we had any word of it, all of us, when we did the Nutcracker, any performances before this, all of us, of course, wanted the part where we got to dress up and act like something crazy and act like goofy and stuff in the shows. And then for like acting, you can act like a different person completely every single different time. So we had the acting bug before, but now it's like, that was like a shot of espresso for it. So now it's going full throttle. That
is, first of all, a great line. I like that, like a shot of espresso. That's very good. David, I have to ask you, now I read, and I could be completely wrong, that you're working or will be working with Don Janson. Am I wrong about this?
You know what? That came out again recently. Don and I were developing this thing many years ago as a series for him, and I haven't heard anything about it for a number of years until someone, I guess that must have been in a headline that someone caught a little late. But sure, man, I love him. We had a great time on Eastbound and Down. I've always talked about doing something together. So maybe we'll dust off Score and get it kicking one of these days.
I know that, listen, you just obviously finished this and you're at TIFF, but do you actually know what you're going to do next? Are you doing any TV?
I'm about to do a pilot with Nicole Kidman and Jamie Lee Curtis, my good friend. So we're gonna head and make a detective series. I'm gonna do the pilot for that show.
Get the F out of here.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Scarpetta. Yeah, we're doing that with Blumhouse and Amazon, and yeah.
So this is for Prime Video.
Yeah.
Well, I think with those two actors, you have a good chance of making a show.
I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
It's dark. It's dark. So you have to balance the light and the dark, because I don't know how to do the same thing over and over and over. I like to I'm working my way to a musical, to a documentary, to the genres I have yet to tackle, but that's the next on the calendar.
If it ends up getting picked up, would you do more episodes?
Oh, yeah, what is picked up? I mean,
Oh, okay,
we got a 2-season order, and yeah, we're ready. We're ready to
Like-
rock. We're gonna go make some cool content.
Like I said, with those two actors.
we're
So,
all business. We like to go to work. We like to shoot things. You know,
so when do you start shooting?
very soon.
Oh, like real soon.
Real soon. Yeah.
Got it. I'll leave you be and say I'm really happy for your success, and I'm glad when you're making movies or TV. Gentlemen, I really want to give you a huge congratulations on being at TIFF with your first movie and working with a fantastic filmmaker. I hope you have a great festival.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.